Hey everyone, welcome to my first video. It's just past 6 in the morning and I'll admit mornings aren't my favorite and I could really use with a few more hours of sleep. But basically I wanted to make this video to show you guys my morning routine, everything that gets done around the ranch here in the mornings, and just down to basic training. So without further ado, let's get into today's video. So usually the first thing I do after I jump out of bed is just to try somewhat function like a normal human being, because mornings are just not my thing. I'm not a morning person, as some may know. After I've actually woken up, I'll come into my bathroom and wash up. I usually just do 2 simple braids just to keep my hair out of the way. I'll then come into my room and do a light makeup routine, as I do ride really often, if not every day, so I'm not even going to bother with a full face of makeup. And yeah, so besides that, this is literally all I use. So after my makeup, I'll head into the kitchen to make breakfast depending on the rush. I could be doing a lot of things around the farm, but usually I do have time for some breakfast. So after I had finished cooking breakfast, I'll go to my closet and choose my gear for the day depending on the weather. Since today is on the chillier side, I decided to go with a simple base layer and a coat over top of that, and black breeches. I think 9 o'clock it had warmed up a little, so I finally decided to head out to start my stable chores. But first, before I head to the stable, I usually tend to the farm animals. Usually I feed the chickens in the mornings, but I actually think my mum did it this morning, so thanks mum for stealing my content. Next we have a few goats and donkeys, and they don't really need much, but I just go around making sure the wiring on their fence is up to scratch, as sometimes we get a few runaways. And our longhorns, my dad usually throws them out hay, so nothing really needed to be done with them. After I'm done with them, I headed back to the stable. In my stable, I actually have a to-do list, so I have everything I need to do set up on a board. And my first task of the day is actually feeding. I currently own all the horses I ride, as I hardly lease. But I do have a friend who is currently leasing one of our paddocks for her gelding Leo, and may I say he is absolutely stunning. After I've made my way to my stable and checked all my to-do lists, I then go to my feeding room and sort out different supplements and different grains for my horses. And my horses actually have different dietaries, so currently 2 of them are on a completely different feed than Bucky, mainly just for their age because they are our senior horses here on the ranch. So for their feed, I actually give them a special low-calorie senior feed and extra supplements for their joints. So as of recent, I've actually switched over brands when it comes to feeding. As of late, I've found a local store called Bourne Lake Equestrian Centre, and changing over to them, I've noticed such amazing benefits, so I'm really glad that I've decided to stick with them. Next, I'll go over to Bucky's store, as I'm going to be riding him today. Nutrition's crucial for him as Bucky's still growing, so I've had to play around with his diets to find the right balance for him. You don't want to overdo it, but also you don't want to underfeed them. And also I've got to make sure that he has the energy he needs for training, but also keep his joints in check, especially with all the stop and go stuff we do during barrel racing. Now while I take him up, let me tell you a bit about him. So I've had Bucky for 2 years, and I actually purchased him in January 2024. So Bucky actually came from another ranch not too far from here. It was later come to find out that his older owners were actually neglecting him. So the Jorvik Rescue Centre actually took him in, and that is where I found his listing. Now when he first arrived, I could tell he needed a lot of work, but that was exactly what I wanted, as Bucky was my first project horse. Our first training sessions, I'll admit, were really messy, but over time I started to work more with him on cardio training as well as barrel pattern work, and as well as socialising him. And after a while, he actually came around. He really started to show his personality, and ever since then, he's been my right-hand horse. But that's enough about Bucky. Back to the vlog. For training, we're not going to push too hard today, as we have been training a lot more than usual for our fraternity event coming up, so I want to make sure Bucky is well trained. For today, just a light session. I've learned to pay attention to him. If he's not feeling it, then we'll call it early. Today we're focusing on turns, making sure he can handle the tightness of the barrel pattern without getting too anxious or confused. I've been working on him being more responsive to my legs. When we're in the middle of a barrel race, there is no time to second guess, guys. I need him to respond to the smallest of cues, and that takes time. It's frustrating some days, but winning these competitions and seeing Bucky excel in his training is so worth it. After a few good turns, we do a few canter laps, and it does help him to build muscle and focus. Now that we're done, it's time to take him into the stalls. So next I'll get Bucky ready for his daily turnout. I usually just give him some water, and I always like to take a few minutes after training just to check over him, make sure he's feeling good, and make sure there's no injuries. And if the weather's chilly, I'll put a sheet on him, but today's really hot, so there's really no need for that. Soon after, we headed out to the pasture. We currently have all the other horses out here, so I'd usually take them out and back into the store, but I had a call from Josh about a new horse arriving to the ranch later on today, so I have to do preps for the stall. But anyways, I decided to put Bucky with them. They are well socialized as well as Bucky, so I'm not worried at all. Seeing him out there just happy and relaxed is the best feeling in the world, and it kind of comes as a reminder that yeah, training and progress are important, but so is making sure that your horse is enjoying himself and staying happy. Because at the end of the day, it's all about balance, keeping you and your steed healthy mentally and physically. So after that, I head out to the store, and I'm just gonna start prepping by laying out a fresh bed of hay. So since I won't be arriving later on today, I didn't want to put any water out too soon, just so then it wouldn't get warm for the horse. But after that, I went up to Josh and I had let him know everything was good to go. A quick brief about our ranch. So the ranch is actually a rescue as well as just our homestead, but my mum and dad actually own it, so when they're both away, I'm usually left to tend with the ranch. But that's not to say without a little bit of help though. We are short of staff here, but our passion for horses makes up for it. But basically the ranch gets a call about a horse spanning from many different backgrounds, and also people give their horses away for many different reasons as well, so they are taken to us where we can ensure a good, long, healthy life for them. So after that, usually my day on a weekend just consists of a lot of paperwork for the ranch, or sometimes I have events. But basically that was my morning routine in a nutshell, guys. If you have any roleplay suggestions you'd like to see here on the channel, then please let me know, as I'd love to read your guys' comments. I'll also link my Instagram in my bio for anyone that wants to check out my socials. But with that being said, I hope you guys have a great day or night.